Hey, if you want to, you could continue listening to episode 70 of Fresh Floppies.
They just turned it on. Of course they're going to continue listening.
They made it this far.
You made it sound like an interstitial, like in between or something.
We'll be right back.
After these messages. What's up to our sidekicks and hedgefolk out there in the Geek Nation? You're listening to the actual episode 70, but not, it's 69 part 3.
Yeah,
so episode 69 part 3.
It's like my my old stepmother or mother-in-law, where she was like, I stopped counting my age at 50.
We're gonna stop counting at 69, and we were so excited to get to episode 69, we started counting at 68.
Yeah.
So my name is Noel. Today we're going to talk about the comics that came out this week. We're going to do spoiler-free reviews. But before we get to that, what's a floppy, JD?
I'll tell you, it is a issue that comes out monthly, a sequential storytelling John in an ongoing series.
Also, JD, what is a John?
A John is a Philly term, which is a catch-all. Like, hey, did you go to that John last night? Oh, could you pass me that John? Hey, get off my John.
So it's a
about
noun.
It. Yeah,
It's just a noun.
It's all you could. I guess. Can you John something? Yeah, it's a noun. Yeah, it's not a verb.
I Johned it up.
Oh, it is a verb. Yeah, I Johned that up last night.
It's like the F word.
Oh, I Johned that so hard.
So it was an incredibly heavy week of comics. We're sitting here like, oh, which ones are we going to talk about first? I've got like 40 books. So we're going to try and get to them as fast as possible. But I think it's apropos to start with probably the biggest book that came out this week with the biggest Batman that's ever been depicted.
He is the biggest Batman.
It's Absolute Batman #1, written by Scott Snyder with art by Nick Dragotta. This is the new shared universe, side universe that begat from DC All-In Special #1.
Yeah.
Before we talk about this book, what do you understand about this new dark side universe?
All I knew before going in was like, oh, you know how Marvel has an Ultimate Universe? This is like that. This is not like that.
No, not at all.
This is nothing like the Ultimate Universe. This feels more in line with like Dark Knight's Metal and Dark Knight's Heavy Metal, where it's like, it's a darker universe. It's the part of the dark multiverse. But wait, no, it's not. It's just a darker universe where everything's harder for our heroes, right?
Sure. Yeah, sure. I understood the Dark Knight's Metal stuff as a more grotesque, macabre, twisted versions. This is basically just we're taking away privileges.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
They're being punished.
You were raised somewhere cool. Now you're raised somewhere sucky. You had mom, pa. Now you don't. Like, it's just they were taking away privileges. So what did you think of this first issue?
Let me start with, I wasn't looking forward to this
At all. You were such a hater.
I was. Well, yeah, I was.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah. Like, I didn't.
like,
I'm like,
oh,
look
okay.
how big he is. He looks like Bane, and look at those stupid wings on his cape. I hate him.
We've known each other for a long time, and you know how I know you're a hater? You're in hater mode over just I don't care mode. You act like you don't care. Yeah, like for some people it's like, it looks so stupid. Like a little bit more externally agitated by it. You're just like, okay, I guess, sure. And to me, that signals to me you're more annoyed by this than other things.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Like it's the apathetic annoyed is stronger and usually deeper than just like, that's stupid. And then walking off.
You know what?
It's like it gets to your heart a little more.
Yeah.
It seeps in a little harder.
So
you hated this book.
It's like people on the internet, like, who cares about this? Well, you cared enough to comment.
Basically, yeah.
But so anyway, I went in with my haterade.
Yeah.
And then they had sent me a PDF weeks ago to read it ahead of time. And I was like, fine. And I'm clicking through it. And I was like, oh, shit, this is good. This is really good. I really enjoy this. Also, I don't like Nick Dragotta. I liked him when he was on East of West with Jonathan Hickman because it was his own universe, and his own style, blah, blah, blah. When he goes in to pre-existing IP, a la Batman, Superman.
He did some interestingly regrettable Superman.
Yeah, really bad Superman stuff. So that set the stage for me to be like, oh, this is going to be bad too. This is great. Yeah. I really like this. What'd you think?
I thought it was wonderful. I did some fist pumping when I read it because I was more excited about this than you were.
Yeah.
I am not a giant fan of Nick Dragotta, but everything I saw coming out of this, I was just like, oh, this actually looks kind of cool.
It
and
looks
then
great.
You see the first image of Batman that was revealed on the cover, and it's just like, Is he like a Titan?
Yeah.
He's huge. His costume is air quotes ugly as sin. And I just didn't care. Like it felt like, oh, this is edgy to be edgy. I'm absolutely gonna hate this. As information kept rolling out about why he looks like he does, functions of the suit, how the cape works, I started kind of like, my eyebrows started going up, like, that's kind of a good idea.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty cool. Oh, you mean it does that? Okay, that's nifty. Mm-hmm. And then by the time I finally read it, holy shit.
Yeah.
This is like a perfectly paced and constructed first issue.
Yep.
It is so dense, but also breezy as hell. You just flip through a page that has 400 panels, but it never feels slogged.
Yeah.
It never feels like there is an incredible balance between the writer and the artist that I just like. You don't see this shit often. Like, honestly, Snyder hasn't been this good since the start of New 52 Batman. Mm-hmm. This is they stuck in that groove and just started going.
He's having fun.
And then the functionality of this version of Bruce Wayne does not have a fortune. We're not going to spoil the book, but I will say the tragedy that he suffers is a completely different type of tragedy, but also kind of more real lifey. Mm-hmm. And that sets out a series of events that kind of puts him in this place to be a vigilante. He grew up in the slums. He grew up in Crime Alley, not just a tragedy on Crime Alley. And his friends are similar names, names that are recognizable. It's good. Also, the perspective of the book, who the narrator is.
Yeah,
loved it.
Yeah,
absolutely
same.
Loved it. There is a mystery that's going on in the background that I'm just super intrigued by. I love this. This is an A+ book.
So I love the elements of the suit that are more useful. Mm-hmm. But it also feels like someone who grew up in the slums shouldn't be able to make the suit that does these things. You know?
Oh, well.
This seems more like a guy with resources makes this suit. You know, it's like you watch Spider-Man and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and he's like drawing in his sketchbook, and then all of a sudden he's got a fully formed 3D printed spider suit. I mean, you didn't make that at home, dude.
I believed it only because they go out of their way to tell you how smart he is, his entire history, his sports career, his post-sports career, the where he goes now. Like he actually, so I think a terrible shorthand is like, oh, it's poor Bruce Wayne. No, it's not. He's not poor. He's a civil engineer for a major metropolitan area, and he's a genius.
Where'd he get this motorcycle?
He stole it.
It's got a bat on it.
He stole it. The bat's him. Like, that's the window.
Yeah.
That's his chest.
I'm just saying. He's got a lot of gadgets.
Yeah, and because the last, 10 years is this plan. Like, we're seeing the first night. I had no issue with the level of believability was at, oh, it's a Batman.
Well, it kind of feels like...
And then it was like they went out of their way to try and explain things, which was fine.
A while ago, Bruce Wayne lost in the regular universe, he lost his fortune, and we were sitting there going, did he? Every issue is like, it still seems like he's got a lot of money. And that's sort of like, if you're making a big deal about this being a different version of Batman who doesn't have the resources that the Bruce Wayne normally does, and then you still got a bonkers bike and a bonkers outfit, it's kind of like, well...
He stole the bike.
Okay.
From Alfred. It's literally in the scene.
Right.
Yeah.
It just happens to have a bat on it.
It doesn't. That's the window. The window is
specifically shaped like a bat.
No, that's the reflection from his insignia. Oh. Yeah, dude.
All right. Well, let's move on.
Yeah. See? That's the underneath of his insignia.
I disagree. But go on.
I lost track. This book is great. I don't know.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I'm picking nits. I'm nicking pits. Next up, Superman action.
We're gonna stay on All In
Comics.
DC All In.
Number 1070 by Mark Waid.
Clayton Henry. A backup by
Mariko Tamaki
and Partridge.
Yeah.
So what did you? So Action Comics for the next 3 months is going to be weekly, and it is this main story. Ugh. What did you think of Mark Waid's return to Action Comics?
I am all in on the Mark Waid train. Mm-hmm. Ever since he started doing, what was it, World's Finest, and then I really liked Absolute Power. this is great. This is really good. Terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
It deals with... What I like about Mark Waid is he lately has been taking things that have existed for a long time and then sort of flipping them on their ear or exploring them in a different way. And this, he's exploring the negative zone in a different way, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely got some body horror in it. This entire first issue is really just inciting action. We don't get any answers. So it's kind of like... It's chapter 1.
Yeah,
it's solid. Even more so, like, yeah, it's good, it's fun, I like it. Clayton Henry's beautiful artist, but even more confusingly first chapter is the Supergirl backup,
right? I was like, wait,
literally nothing happens, but then also a billion things happen,
and she's got
I have no idea
powers I
on.
didn't know about.
Or is it powers or is it tech, because the very first shot is like a weird grid.
Oh,
I have no idea what's going on.
That's right. That's like
so
tech.
It's intriguing, but also confusing.
That's a close up of her eye. Mm-hmm. You're right.
So I don't like where she's going, what she's going, but then also too, so both of these. The only real nitpick I have is that both of these stories, the backup and the main story, are not in concert with each other, but in conflict with each other. So. Yeah. The very first story kind of sets up the stage where Superman has to go into I was going to say the negative zone, into the Phantom Zone to do a thing. And he literally like high fives Kara and is just like, yo, you got to protect this place while I'm gone. I'll be back soon. High five.
Yeah.
The very next backup story is her needing to go off planet to do something. Yeah. I'm like, so are these at the same time? Was she just like, deuces?
Yeah,
psych. They're not in concert with each other.
Yeah.
Even if there was a small little thing that says
this takes place before
the events of action,
yeah.
So I know that it's not super connected because right now it doesn't seem to be at all.
That's true. Yeah. I think it's just like here's another story involving a character. Yeah, but it is a little strange to put them side by side.
Yeah, like literally, it and it's like scene to scene.
Yeah,
like the end of one does not compute with the start of the other one.
Compute. But yeah, this is great. I mean, Mark Waid, man, I'm in.
Yeah. Weekly comics are great if you aren't reading anything else.
Yeah, and if you have money.
Yeah. I mean, that was implied if you're not reading anything else.
Yeah, right. Because now you have money.
Yeah. But yeah, this is pretty solid.
Yeah.
Let's
talk about fresh.
Pretty fresh. Both of these are pretty damn fresh. Both big fans of IP. Said no one ever. And a new IP came out today. Terminator.
Ooh, by Declan Shalvey and Luke Sparrow with Colin Cracker. Cracker?
Colin Cracker did the backups. So who did the backup story? It doesn't matter. Anyway, what'd you think of this?
The backup story, which is what, 2 pages? 2 pages. I was like, wait, is there more after the ads? No, it's 2 pages. Okay.
Crivelli and Cracker, yeah.
Yeah, Crivelli, yeah. This was great. Although I have questions spoiler questions, so we're not going to say them on air, but this was really good. This was really solid Terminator story. That doesn't seem to have much to do with the films. It's not like it's part of the movies at all. But it's an older couple dealing with a Terminator, and I thought it was great.
Have been dealing with Terminator for like 40 years.
Yeah, it's been on their tail forever.
I got the impression. Yeah, this is really good. Also, I didn't know who this artist was, Sparrow, but he's channeling Declan Shalvey
for sure.
So it feels like a full Declan Shalvey book, which is great.
Shalvey plus what's his name, Romero. He did Jupiter's Circle. Leonardo Romero.
Didn't he do the first arc of Birds of Prey?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's mixed in there too a little bit.
Yeah. This was solid. I mean, it seems like a one shot, or no, it seems like a side story or side quest, which is honestly sometimes the best way to do IP books. Like, I don't want to read about John Connor constantly. If I had to guess, we don't have answers in this book, but if I had to guess, these are other. So the original Terminator movie was going back in time and killing the mother of the Resistance leader.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, because this book goes back between 2018 and 1975, they also sent back to kill other important people.
Yes.
So this is just one of those other important parents or people, which is cool. a way to explore the IP without having to rearrange timelines or do weird shit like that, which they constantly keep doing with movies of the Terminator. I liked it a lot. This was really strong. It feels light because there's a ton of pages, but really most of them are ads in the back. And also Declan Shalvey, that's his style. Like, he is a very minimalist storyteller. So it's a very pretty book. It works really, really well. It flows really nicely. I want more, which is a good thing, but also, I want more.
Kind of reminds me of the Matrix animated series, Animatrix.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, here's a little story that happens to take place in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. It's cool.
Like, it's so good, but it barely feels like 20 pages. This is the whole book.
Yeah.
This is like, if I was going to, like, the story itself, fresh. I think it's great. Presentation, though, like, it feels like less of a book. It really does.
And, it's heavier because it's got a cover cardstock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
or a cardstock cover.
It feels like, do you remember Fell?
Yeah.
They were explicitly only 16-page comics and they were cheaper.
Yeah.
It actually feels like that.
Yeah, it does.
Like, I didn't count the pages, but it just feels like less of a book. And you know what? Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe Declan Shalvey is so good with pacing that it feels lighter.
Right.
But either way, it's just
Still worth a read, though. Like, I didn't feel gypped.
No, I didn't feel
get to
gypped.
the end of it and be like, well, where's the rest?
This is like I can't
Except
wait
for the second story.
I can't wait to try this in trade.
2 pages. So weird.
My favorite part of all Dynamite first issues is the art gallery in the back. Covers? The art gallery of all the covers in the back.
Why?
So many.
1, 2, 3 of these pages is devoted just to
Vamp
covers.
for 5 seconds. I'm going to do math.
It's got some good covers, though. The cover I have, who is this? There's an Alex Ross cover, but I don't know who did this cover. Shoot. It's good, though. All the covers are pretty good.
So 48 plus 12 is 63. 63 covers.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
I want to talk. I got a chance to read a little bit more than you did, and I want to talk about some books that you skipped out on because you hate the medium.
Yeah,
you hate comics?
comic books. Yeah, I hate
just
it.
altogether.
They're stupid. Baby books is what I call them.
Yeah, like people that don't know how to read choose comics.
Yeah.
They don't have the imagination to see things in their
Those
head.
who can't teach, those who can't read comics.
Yeah. Those who can't read look at pictures.
That's right.
Fucking babies. I want to talk about Blade Red Band #1. It's written by
Brian Hill
with art by C.F. Villa. Really good artist.
Get it out of it. So it came polybagged.
It's polybagged because it's rated R.
Wrapped for your pleasure.
So first, right off the bat, this is an awesome book.
Oh.
It's a very, very well done Blade post-trauma story where he's just like secluded building swords trying to stay out of trouble in Taipei? Just like in the mountains somewhere.
So Taipei. He's not Type A.
Southeast Asia, sorry. Lupui Island.
Does this deal with the after effects of Blood Hunt?
This is after Blood Hunt, after his ordeal with his daughter, and he's just he knows that he's not responsible, but he's very responsible. So he's going through his thing. And then, bad guys find him and ask him to do something, and he's like, fuck you. That's the book.
Okay.
Does this need to be Red Band? No.
All right, by that, do you mean they added stuff that didn't need to be added? Or is the book not explicit enough to warrant a Red Band rating?
I don't think it's explicit enough to warrant a Red Band rating.
Gotcha.
There's no cursing, and the violence seems really quite tame, especially for the
cover.
Yeah, the cover's pretty gross, but there's nothing that even comes close to that level of ick inside the book. There's 1 or 2 shots of like a deformed kind of mutant style person, but that it doesn't look like anything different that you'd get on the racks by any of the big 2. It's a gimmick. The book rises above the gimmick. It is very, very solid. And the art I loved. I really like C.F. Villa. They were the first artist for Jed McKay's Avengers, and they did something else. Really, really strong. It's got it's like if you put Pepe Larraz and Valerio Schiti in a blender, and you've got this kind of like long body, loose but still very tight pace kind of story. Really good. I think it's really great, but I don't yet know why it's Red Band. This is a 5-issue miniseries. It takes place after Brian Hill's 10-issue Blade series and Blood Hunt, and it's just really strong. I just don't understand why it's Red Band. I don't understand why it's polybagged.
I'm wondering if maybe future issues will be, but like they felt like they should polybag the whole series if it's going to get worse as it goes. Maybe.
And this is an issue where there is no like clean version.
Yeah, it's
this whole thing is Red Band. Like so far, all the other Red Band stuff that they've been doing was. You get like the Rax version and then a polybag version with extra blood. This is just all polybagged.
I feel the same way I think they did that with Werewolf by Night.
Just polybagged.
Did you read that?
No.
Me neither.
No, I read the book that came before it, and I didn't like it, so I didn't bother. And also too, it's not like you can flip.
Yeah,
it's not like I can see if I want it or
That's
try it.
That's part of the problem.
It's just so you're buying the exclusivity of silliness. The other thing I wanted to talk about is another IP book that is based on one of my favorite properties, which is Toxic Avenger. The Toxic Avenger #1, written by Matt Bors with art by Fred Harper, colorist by Lee Lawfridge coloring, and Rob Steen lettering. This is an Ahoy book. It is a 5-issue miniseries, and it is a completely new origin of Melvin. If anybody knows do you know who the Toxic Avenger is?
He was a kid who was picked on. And I believe he had a tutu on for some reason, and then he gets pushed out a window and falls into a vat of toxic waste, and then becomes the Toxic Avenger. That's all I know. That's all I remember. Even though I had seen it when I was a kid.
There is a specific line that they use in the movies. Oh, here, a hideously deformed creature of superhuman size and strength. Yeah. That is his origin. Okay. I am a hideously deformed creature of superhuman size and strength. The art is fantastic. They turn it into a larger kind of chemical thing that happens to a bunch of teens. And he's a teenager. There's 16. And he gets bullied and bad stuff happens and turns into a whatever. But the way that this book is constructed, it's going in reverse. So it starts with quarantine day 4, and then every scene is the day before.
Neat.
So it's constructed really well. The art is really fun. It's not as corny or tongue-in-cheeky as the trauma movies tend to be, but it still has that kind of like punk rock feel to it. This was really strong. I liked this a lot. Like, I don't know who it's for, other than like people like me who are familiar with the property, but it does fit very much in the Ahoy Comics house that Mark Russell built kind of stuff. Yeah.
What I remember most about the Toxic Avenger is that it was part of a bunch of strange IP from the 80s that were rated R, and they decided there needed to be cartoons for. So there was a Toxic Avenger cartoon, there was a RoboCop cartoon, there was a Rambo. Like, I was revisiting the original First Blood a couple years ago, and I was like, this is about a soldier with PTSD who's going against the cops in a small town, and they decided, let's make a cartoon.
Yeah, also like Snake Eating Its Own Tail, Toxic Crusaders. Snake Eating Its Own Tail. They made a cartoon and toy line for RoboCop, which is a satire about consumerism and fascism. Like, what the fudge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when Fight Club had a fighting video game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, did you guys not read the book or watch the movie? Like, what?
Merchandising knows no...
Merchandising.
Has no...
limits?
Chill. No chill. There was one more, like I read too much. There was one more, before we get back into the dual feature of this, I'm going to talk about Sentinels. Sorry. From the Ashes, A New Beginning. Sentinels #1, written by Alex Packnadel with art by Mason. Oh, I forgot his first name. I should have done this before.
Brad.
Justin Mason.
It's close.
This book has nothing to do with From the Ashes, but also everything to do with From the Ashes. So this is basically like a book about wanton soldiers submitting themselves to the Sentinel program to be versions of Sentinels for Grey Malkin prison. And it's really well done. Like, the art's pretty strong. Everyone is expendable. and they come up against recognizable ex-villains. They're capturing mutants to put in the prison.
Okay.
There's some corporate malfeasance. There's some really great...
It's my favorite kind of feasance.
Yeah, right? There's some really great PTSD style stuff. A little touch of Suicide Squad, serious version of Suicide Squad. This is a pretty strong book.
Huh. I was curious about it.
It's dense, but it's still a pretty strong book. I feel it seems like one of those things like this writer, Alex Packnadel. I've seen them do. I've read a lot of their indie stuff, and it feels like this is one of those things where an indie writer or artist got a chance to do a Big Two book and did something weird and off the beaten path, and I kind of respect that. It was a pretty strong book.
Don't like the art.
You don't like that?
Not very much.
Oh,
No.
I dig it. It's serviceable, and it fits with the tone. It's got a very kind of like cold bluish hue to it.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I'm flipping through the book, and there's a panel in here that looks more Red Band than the Red Band Blade book.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
gross.
And their armor is really cool. The Sentinel armor. So they have this like they're normal people, but they have these like augmentations, Sentinel armor style augmentations, where they could touch other items and borrow the mass of that item. So like he'll touch a car and he'll steal the mass of that car for his nanotechnology, and it becomes a big mech suit.
Oh, that's
like,
cool.
There's a lot of like really fun, creative things in this book. I think it's pretty strong, and it almost hurts it that it's an X book. Like it's mired in that world, because you could take away some of that stuff, and it would just be a really strong, infantry style sci-fi book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty solid.
Cool.
All right, now I'm done talking exclusively. What would you like to talk
The
about
Ultimates!
next?
Number 5 from Marvel Comics by Camp.
Dennis Camp with art by Juan Ferreira.
Yeah! I have really turned a corner on this book. I remember reading the first one and being like, this is fine. But then each consecutive issue gets more and more interesting with the way that they are changing the characters. We've talked endlessly about what I feel is an ultimate book. This feels like an ultimate book. This actually feels like an ultimate book because the characters are vastly different. Like, even in the original Ultimate Universe, it got to a point where we're just like, oh, okay, Daredevil, that's just Daredevil.
Yeah.
Oh, Elektra's here? That's just Elektra from the 616. They're no different. And this, you're getting whole new characters getting the powers of previous incarnations. This was awesome. I like Hawk's size. He's pretty cool.
Yes, Dennis Camp is taking the opportunity to tell prescient, almost one-shot style stories about these previously established icons. Like when we talk about She-Hulk, it's, a lawyer that's a cousin of Bruce Banner. Like, no, he took it and he made it like a conversation about colonialism and the atomic age.
Yep.
And then in this one, he's taking the character of Hawkeye and turning it into another conversation about colonialism and appropriation.
Yeah.
And it's all done in the framework of the cowboy, Captain America, trying to talk to him, just have a conversation.
The old cowboys and Indians trope.
It is this. Welcome to the party. This book has been phenomenal from page one.
Yeah,
I'm glad that you clicked in when you clicked in, because this is the best Ultimate book.
It really is.
Period.
Like, I was just
Full
thinking,
stop.
when a new Ultimates book comes out at this point, I go, ooh.
This is the best.
And
Like,
when Ultimate Spider-Man comes out, I'm going, I'll get to that.
I really like Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I really like
so do
Ultimate
I.
Black Panther. The Ultimates is on another level.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between I don't know, the Beatles and not the Stones. Some people like them more, but you know what I mean. Like it's
The Monkees.
Sure.
The Beatles. I remember as a kid.
The Monkees are great, though.
I
And
remember
that's fine.
thinking and telling my mom that I thought that the Beatles were just trying to be the Monkees.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, this was awesome. But it's one of those books that I sit here and as I'm reading it, I go, that's going to make some people mad.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm not like boo-hoo.
I love
but
it.
Like, yeah.
It is, yeah.
Fresh AF. Ultimates.
Best book at Marvel. I really do feel like it's just getting better and better. Let's wrap it up how we always do.
With the Amazing Spider-Man corner.
With more Spider-Man.
Yeah. This is Legacy issue 953, regular issue 59.
The penultimate issue.
To Zeb Wells' run.
Yeah.
The much maligned, viciously and inappropriately maligned Zeb Wells' run. This has been awesome.
I feel like it's only maliciously maligned.
On Reddit and Twitter?
Yeah, I was going to say in like the hyper-specific forums.
Yeah.
Normies, buy it. Read it. Don't care.
It's real good.
Yeah.
And so you were like, well, I don't know if we should talk about it because last issue I went, well, okay, that was like, what do you call it? Like 2 pounds of story in a 5-pound bag. It was just a fight scene.
It was just a fight scene, and I was like, hey, we don't have to bother reading. We don't have to bother talking about this because I feel like you're just going to say the same stuff, which is, hey, it's just a fight scene.
No, I'm not. And I have to go back and check it out, but I feel like the last issue went by so quickly because of maybe panel layout. This one feels like there's a lot more happening. It is just a fight scene still. It's the same fight scene, but it's just going on and getting worse and worse and worse. And you start to feel it. Like it really is kind of brutal at a point. And
this is more Red Band than Blade Red Band.
And you know what? A lot of people give John Romita Jr. A lot of isht, but what I like about him is when he draws 2 people having a fight, they look like they're in a fight. They swollen lips, black eyes, like swollen shut. Like you feel that person is in pain.
There's also some really, really, dare I say, great framing and physicality in this book.
Yeah, man.
There's they take the fight to the subway and they're dodging subway trains as they go, and there's one specific beat where they're waiting for a train to pass. Tombstone strikes first, and they tussle with each other on the ground, rolling. And the way that JR depicted it was just so fun. Like, you get this mishmash of speed lines and motion.
Oh, I love that.
It was just so wonderful. And then, like, I don't know. I was
sort of ghost images.
Yeah, I was just too... And the idea that they are evenly matched and trading blows with these... It's not one sound effect. It's a cacophony of sound effects.
Yeah.
We get cracks, thunks, womp, 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 womp.
Sock.
In succession. Like, this is a bit of a masterclass in how to depict motion and action through panels, because it's not just pacing, and it's not just like framing of each panel. You're also using lettering font and like having the word womp is fine.
Yeah.
Layering them on top of each other 5 or 6 times.
Getting bigger as they go.
I know that's thud, 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 you know? Like it's the very simple, seemingly obvious things that a lot of artists don't do and don't know. And that's why this guy's he's a fucking master.
Yeah.
Like, this was just really, really good.
And brutal.
Very.
Like, Spidey makes a move here that I was like, ooh, how? But it also, at the wrap up of this, very Spider-Man moment. Very Spider-Man moment. Perfect. This was awesome. I really like this a lot. And in trade, it's going to be really brutal, I feel like, if you have to read it all at once. It started Family Guy. There's a fight with Peter and the chicken. Yeah. After a while, it starts to feel like that, but not funny. Like, just, how? Damn it.
This run started with him coming to blows with Tombstone and the turf war. Yeah. It had a little middle section of the gang war, which got bigger and then collapsed, and now we're ending it on it, and it feels right. Yeah, this just feels like a great bookend, and I'm really excited for the last issue.
Yeah, me too.
Amazing Spider-Man this has been a fun ride. All 60 issues so far has been pretty fun.
I think the only down point for me was actually gang war.
The actual tie-in books sucked.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry, not the tie-in books. It didn't feel like an event. No. It was like, oh, this could have just been a thing. Whereas same with Dark Web. Dark Web, I don't think needed to be an event. That was just an arc that was kind of fun.
Though I did like Dark Web a lot more than
I liked it, but I'm like, oh, did we need a X-Men miniseries of Dark Web?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this was pretty fresh.
Pretty damn fresh.
It's a good week.
What else are you looking forward to this week?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Things we didn't talk about yet.
There's the big release this week for me was the Compendium of G.I. Joe, which pork chop sandwiches, and we did a little video. Sam's up there laughing. We did a little video looking at this compendium, which I handed it to someone else this week. I was like, because they were buying Energon Universe stuff, and everyone who has that on their list, I kind of go, hey, by the way, this is what got me in the comics. This was a great run of G.I. Joe by Larry Hama back in the 80s. And I go to hand it to him, and he's like, oh, you could murder somebody with that. And I was like, actually, you can't. It's made of feathers. And he's like, oh my God, this is really light. It is the lightest compendium I've ever seen or felt. And it's the first 50 issues of G.I. Joe. I love it. Yeah. It's so good. But then on top of that, another surprise came out this week, a storybook portfolio by J.H. Williams III of Dracula. And this is a nice $24.99 hardcover of, if you don't know J.H. Williams III, you should. He is one of the top talents working in comic books of the past 20 years. Hard pressed to find someone who's better than him.
And he takes forever too. So anytime he releases anything, you're down.
And this, apparently he wrote and drew this adaptation of the Bram Stoker's Dracula while having sepsis. So he was like kind of dying. It's just can't stop, won't stop.
As you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you do.
So yeah, this looks awesome. I can't wait to dig into this.
I had a chance to read, speaking of the Energon Universe, both of the other books came out this week. So Transformers number 13. And I've been a little down on this book lately, but this last issue, this issue 13, awesome, absolutely awesome. It's a side story, a little bit of an origin story for Starscream, who the last we saw was dying in a ditch. And then also
because of Soundwave, right?
Yeah,
he like hams him up.
Yeah, and then Scarlet ends today. Which is another tie-in book.
Yeah, man. And then G.I. Joe starts soon.
G.I. Joe starts soon. In
the new series.
Next month.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's a heavy week. Oh, I also read Night of the Thrashers by Kevin Scott. Night of the Slashers by Kevin Scott. Also a solid horror book.
I'm going to read this next.
Yeah, it's the title is what it is. Night of the Slashers. It's fun. The art's pretty fun. It's an embarrassment of riches this week.
Yeah, man, there's like too much
of a heavy stack. But I honestly, if I was gonna tell anybody like, hey, you're a big fan of this and that, read Absolute Batman and read Ultimates. Just always read Ultimates. Go back issues. Read Ultimates. Read Ultimates. Read Ultimates.
Sorry, I forgot to mention. I'm in the 3/4 of the way through Duck and Cover, and by 3/4 of the way, I mean like almost 2 issues out of 3. Like this is a very thick book. This continues. I loved Duck and Cover number 1 from last month, and this is even more of it. It's awesome by Scott Snyder and Raphael Albuquerque. It takes a bunch of different 1950s sci-fi tropes and smashes them all together, mixed with the old Duck and Cover videos of like, oh, there's going to be a nuke. Get under your desk, duck and cover. That'll save you. But it literally does. Only people who got under their desk and did duck and cover are alive after this catastrophe, which I won't spoil. But yeah, it's basically like 1950s Stephen King kids against the world. All the adults are gone.
Speaking of 1950s, but we'll say 70s Stephen King-y. This week on the CultPop Podcast, we're going to talk about the new Max streaming original Salem's Lot. And we all went and saw Joker Folie à Deux, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, so tonight or this week on the podcast, the live stream, 8 o'clock on Wednesday night, make sure to join us, get in the chat with us, and let us know what you think about all these things.
Yeah, other than that, if you want to talk to us, just email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com. If there's a comic you want to talk about or coming out you want to hear about, let us know, and we'll cover it for the show. Yeah. But in the meantime... Thanks.
We'll talk at you later.
Sklew-doo-doo.
Diddly-dee.
Thank you for listening to the Cult Pop Network, home to podcasts, live shows, and a whole lot of fun stuff for every flavor of fan. Follow us wherever you find your favorite podcasts, and be sure to join us live every Wednesday night at youtube.com/CultPopGo at 8 p.m. Eastern. While you're there, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you'll know when we drop new Thunder Rounds and episodes of Fresh Floppies, a spoiler-free show about single-issue comics released each week. Until then, we'll talk at you later.